from marketing, especially online, is truly understanding the platforms. And most people try to put out content in the manner that they want to do it. And that's not how you do it on these platforms. Modeling on these platforms is big because the first rule of business is you have to gather attention. You really want to be strategic and then be able to ascend your client. Keyword is client, not customer. Customer is transactional. Client is relational. And you really want to serve that person. If you can serve them at a $10,000 capacity, you need to work backwards. What problems that ideal client has that I can create a product to solve?
Hey business owners, what if I helped you get access to $50,000 in business funding for $1 a day? Would you be interested? Well, inside of my Credit Mastery community, you're going to be getting exclusive access to our in-depth training program that's worth tens of thousands of dollars to give you the exact strategies you need on how to restore your credit and on how to properly structure your business. You're also going to be getting access to a financial consultant with over a decade of experience in the funding space that'll help you reach your financial goals in half the time it would take if you were to do it on your own. And we're going to be giving you 2 coaching calls every week that'll give you the exact banks you need to go to get access to $50,000 to $100,000 in business funding. This is the same community that helped Pat get access to $50,000 in funding from Chase, helped Alvin get access to $8,000 in funding from Amex, helped Matt boost his personal credit score by 150 points, and helped Donna delete a bankruptcy from her credit report. So if you're interested, click the link above or below this video to join now, and we'll see you on the other side of success. Let's go, family.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is the Marvin Francois Show, your #1 source for all things business, finance, and investing. And today, is a very special day because our guest today is a man of God, entrepreneur, investor, mentor, coach, sales funnel, and digital marketing expert extraordinaire. To date, our guest has done a total of $7 million and counting in client revenue and is responsible for helping multiple entrepreneurs across all walks of business make their first 6 to 7 figures using sales funnels that convert. Whether he's creating free value content on how to create systems that generate sales while you sleep, or speaking from stage on how to create marketing strategies that'll have leads throwing money at your feet, the amount of game that this man has provided is proof that his success in this space is not coincidence, it's confirmation. And today, he's here to do more of the same. Ladies and gentlemen, from the DMV area, I'm here with the one, the only, my guy, Mr. Darrell Gray. What's going on, family? How are you?
What's up, bro? I'm good, man. I appreciate you having me on, bro.
Of course. Absolutely. Absolutely. Listen, you are digital marketing's best kept secret, which is kind of a paradox if you think about it, because when you think about marketing, it's about putting yourself out there. But man, it's one of those things where if you know, you know. Right. You've really been a very pivotal part for my business and a lot of the guests that I've had on here in their business and what they've done. And I'm excited for you to come on here and give the game to other people so they can learn all things digital marketing and sales funnels, man. I'm excited.
No, I'm overly excited. Even though my faces might not show it, right? Mm-hmm. But I'm overly excited because I get to share the one thing that changed my life, changed my family's life, and changed a lot of people's lives that don't know me personally, but because of the skill set, the belief, the faith that I had to persevere during my darkest times, it changed their life, right? It's the ripple effect. So I'm just grateful, bro, like truly grateful. And one of those people that in the beginning, I thought it was about just making the money. Because at first, we all have Maslow's hierarchy of needs, right? The core, like we need survival, and stuff like that. And once you start hitting those needs, once you start being able to provide for yourself, able to provide for your family, you start to realize that it's a bigger game. And that really, really hit me probably about within like the last 6 months, truthfully, right? I felt like God gave me a gift, not just marketing, but to be able to foster relationships. And I didn't realize it until my wife, my business partner, and people was like, bro, you got the gift of gab, right? Or, hey, for some reason, people confide in you, or for some reason, it's just easy for you to connect with people. And I took it lightly because you just don't know, right? They say the term like fish discover water last, right? And I didn't realize it. And then recently I had to fire myself in a business, ego hit. But when I sat back and I looked at the business that I was in, I excelled in bringing the people in the business to take it to the next level. Right. So, yeah, I'm here today to share the things that I think every person needs. If you're a business owner, you aspire to be a business owner. And it might not necessarily just be about marketing. Right. One of my mentors said, marketing is not just creating a bunch of noise, but it's creating a message that changes the mindset of the person that hears that message, right? So you have effective marketing when you can change someone's perception, right, and belief of a topic that they once thought different of. That's how I look at marketing.
This is gonna set the tone for what I think is gonna be a very powerful conversation. Well, I mean, let's start off there, because you said a lot of profound words there. You talked about the shift that you've gone on over the course of these past couple of months that have forced you to kind of look at a couple of different things within, I'm sure, your personal life and also your approach to business differently. For the people that don't know, who is Darrell Gray?
Got you. Great question. You'd asked me that question probably about 2 years ago. I was just somebody trying to find out like what lane, where to stick with, right? And today, the thing that keeps me grounded is my faith, my wife, right? My family. As you can see, my grandmother called me earlier. She really keeps me grounded and letting me know that everything is truly transient. And what I mean by that is something can be here today and it can be gone tomorrow. So I don't take anything lightly. And I would say, like, if someone, this is my, hopefully, if someone says, hey, what do you think about when you think of Darrell? I would want someone to say, hey, that guy was selfless. He helped out a lot. Playful and joyful, a breath of fresh air, right? So I can't remember who said this, but two things happen when somebody calls you, right? Either one, you get like joyful, you can't wait to talk to that person, or the other thing that happens, and it happens with a lot of family members. I'm pretty sure a lot of you out there are going to relate with this one. You hesitate when you look and see who's on the phone, right? And unfortunately, for a lot of us, that's family. And unfortunately, for a lot of us, at some point in time, that could be our day ones, right? So I just try my best to be that person that when I call, I don't want anything financial, but I'm a person that's going to pour into you.
Yeah.
And they say, hey, look, every time I talk to Darrell, he motivates me in multiple ways, whether it's faith, finances, working on my fitness, trying, and just being truthful, just being that person that's going to be genuinely there to help you, whether you receive or perceive that the information or the words of wisdom is in alignment with where you want to go or in alignment with my truth.
Yeah.
Right? Because my truth and what you perceive it to be may be different. But I'm going to tell you at all point in times what I think my truth is.
Yeah.
And I'm going to share it with you. And then you can take it with a grain of salt, or you can take it as nourishment and go on. Right? So, yeah, that's me, man. Like, I just want to be, as many would perceive, a solid guy. Right? But we all know we all fall short.
Yeah. Let's go back to 2013, because I think around that time, young Darrell, from what I understand, you were fresh out of DSU, just got your degree, right?
Yep.
For a lot of people at that point in time, it's like, all right, it's time to go out and make some money. It's time to do what we got to do. I'm gonna live the American dream, and it would seem as though it didn't really turn out that way, if I understand. How did you go from that point in your life to where we are now, where you're recognized as one of the premier names in this digital marketing space? Walk me through that journey.
Got you. Great question. Great question. Right. So, I'm not sure if anybody out there has experienced this, right? But I did my 4 years at the university. Super duper grateful for Delaware State University because it afforded me the opportunity to become a treasurer, where I know if I would have went to PWI, a predominantly white institution, I probably would have been looked over for that position. But it opened my eyes to see like what goes on. What I mean by that is what I used to perceive as a lot of money. Now I got a chance to see the budget. Now I got a chance to see, okay, well, they're paying this artist X amount of money to come. And I'm like, it was a rap song. I know this is crazy, by Moneybagg Yo. And he said, you really got paid $80K for 30 minutes? Yup. And they damn sure can't tell me how to spend it. And I was like, that hit me because in the beginning, I couldn't fathom that somebody would get paid $80,000 for a 30-minute segment until I was the one that
wrote that check.
And it changed because I said, okay, if this guy can get paid $80,000, didn't go to college, zero financial literacy, let's be straight, right? What is it that they have that I don't have, right? What is it that they have that I could potentially tap into? And at that point in time, I knew that it was an audience. One, they had an audience, and I knew that they had the ability to persevere through all the stuff that took them to get paid $80K for 30 minutes. That's what everybody forgets, right? You didn't get paid just $80K for that 30-minute segment. You got paid $80K because all those times you showed up for $0, for $500, for $1,000, right? All those times where, and we just being candid, all those times at 12 o'clock, 1 a.m., when I don't know about y'all, but I'm praying to God like, look, Lord, is this really where I'm supposed to be at?
Yeah.
You know, my wife, at that point in time, she's my fiance, she's sleeping, and I'm up crying, right? Like, damn, like, I made this decision. Like, is this really the path, the journey that I want to walk through? That's why they got paid the $80K, because they didn't quit. They didn't fold.
Yeah.
And when I hit my mind, I was like, okay, cool. And then going through the college. So when I first graduated, I actually didn't really know what I wanted to do. As crazy as it seemed, right? So I went 4 years to an institution. I majored in marketing. Low key, I had switched my major to accounting like last minute because I think they said like that third year is when it hit you like, oh Lord, like, okay, what am I going to do? Yep. Everybody started having job offerings. I didn't. So I'm like, all right, if I can become an accountant, I might can just get a job offer.
Yeah.
But once again, the gift, right? The gift. So when I did graduate, I said, you know what? I'm gonna go for my master's. Everybody thought like, hey, Darrell's going for his master's. I'm like, no, I went for my master's because I knew like if I went out, I was gonna be literally one of the people that graduated and worked at McDonald's or, you know, I did a internship for Enterprise, but I just felt like in my heart and kind of the people around was like, hey, it's more, right? And I always thought like, okay, if I graduated from an institution, then I needed to work for corporate America. That's what I thought, right? So I did another 4 years, and I got my master's. But one of the things that truly helped me, and that's why I said this hindsight 2020 looking back, was my gift to relate with people. So I became a Toastmaster.
A Toastmaster?
Toastmaster, right? So for anybody that's not familiar with a Toastmaster is, essentially it's a program or group of people that get together and it teach you how to refine your communication skills.
Okay.
Right? And that's really, really important. Josh, it's really, really important in business to be able to communicate not just one-to-one, but one-to-many. Right? And feel completely comfortable while you're doing it. So I went and became a Toastmaster because one of my professors said, hey, Darrell, you educated. I think that if you join Toastmasters, you'll have more opportunities to get in the door because you can speak. And at this point in time, let's be honest, diversity and inclusion was at an all-time high, right? So I became a Toastmaster, and I met one guy. His name was like Javier, and he was like, "Hey, I work for J.P. Morgan Chase. You speak well. We're thinking about interviewing people." So I had an interview. Everything was good, and literally, bro, they never called me back. So in my mind, I was working for Navient at that point in time, a subsidiary of Sallie Mae, student loans. But I thought that, I'm like, all right, well, I guess I didn't get the job. So we had another Toastmaster event. He said, "Hey, Darrell, we loved you. Why'd you never show up?" So I said, "Well, you guys never called me."
Yeah.
And within the next like week, I literally I had a job at corporate America, right? From me just fostering a relationship, literally like we clicked. And he was like, "Yeah, we want you." Now, hindsight looking 2020, they needed another black guy. Right? Another educated black guy that could speak. But leaning on about the gift that like God's given me, right? So long story short, I felt like when I worked for corporate America, just like anybody else, I started searching because I seen the ceiling, right? My manager was making like $60K a year, right? For some people, that's good money. Some people, that's good money, but once you do the taxes and stuff like that, it's not really like amazing. And then one day I was sitting at my desk and my manager was like, "I feel like I'm not getting paid enough. I feel like I'm struggling." I'm like, I'm about to get promoted to this.
Right.
You got me? So I personally felt like, why would I work for you all for 5 years to get promoted to a position where this person feels like they're struggling?
Right.
And another thing that hit me was I was listening to, this is when I started studying digital marketing. And there's a guy, I recommend everybody look him up. He's an older gentleman. His name is Dan Kennedy, right? The GOAT. Dan Kennedy said that if you can make it rain for a business, you'll never go broke. You need to become the rain man. And I was listening to podcasts. I'm like, dang, I need to be the rain man. Because at any point in time in a business, if you're not revenue generating, low key, you're a liability.
Yep.
So when the money's slow, you
gotta
quick
go.
to leave.
You gotta go.
Correct.
When the money's slow, you got to go.
So in my position, like I said, I was doing well. I was going to get a bonus, going to get a raise, but I wasn't in a revenue generating position. And at J.P. Morgan Chase, the people that were in revenue generating positions were the traders. And at that point in time, I couldn't become a trader. Well, I could have if I wanted to, but I was like, man, it's going to take me a long time to do all this. So I started learning how to search and make money online. And then I started literally, I would say from the bottom, like Gary Vee style, like going into Goodwill, right? I wish I could pull out my old eBay account. Going into Goodwill, finding things that I could flip. That's how I started, right? I started noticing like vintage teddy bears, some of those stuff was finding. But what I quickly realized was that inventory, I couldn't keep coming back, re-ing up.
Yeah.
Right? So then I stumbled upon Amazon. And this is where it was a gift, a learning lesson. And I truly believe everyone needs a mentor because of this. Right? So when I stumbled upon Amazon, I didn't understand what over leveraged meant. Right? I was working for Chase. So when I applied for a credit card, they gave me like $12K. That was the highest credit card limit I ever had in my life. And wasn't using credit at that point in time. I didn't know anything about credit.
Yep.
Right. So when I applied, they gave me 12. I was like, holy, you know what I mean? So then I started buying stuff from Amazon, selling on Amazon. I didn't have a mentor. I didn't truly know my numbers. So it looked like I was making money. And in my mind, I'm like, yeah, I'm doing this Amazon thing. I think I got it to like $5 or $6K a month. So I'm like, all right, I'm out of here. Right. So when I left, it was all on me.
And what year was this, by the way?
Great question. This was like, probably like 2016, 17.
Okay.
Right? Because like, yeah, 16, 17.
Mhm.
And here's another thing that I didn't realize by hindsight 2020. Everybody always feels like they late to an opportunity,
Mhm.
right? When I stumbled upon Amazon, I felt like I was late to an opportunity. But it's people that's just discovering that you can sell on Amazon today. So I truly wasn't late,
Mhm.
right? It's people that came after me that had that same opportunity and made millions, where I took the opportunity and I lost 20K, right? So I recommend everyone get a mentor, especially if they're serious about whatever line of business they want to get into, right? But long story short, I got over leveraged in that business. That taught me, 1, you need to know your numbers. 2, it taught me the meaning of a cash flow cycle in business. Most people don't understand that the quickest way to go out of business is a lack of cash flow.
Facts.
Right? So, and to kind of really, for some people that's new to business that haven't been through the cycles and understand. So one of my close friends used to be my wrestling coach. Now we like fostered a relationship, and low key he's like one of my mentors, but he started a security company and he said, "Hey, Darrell, I got the security company. I got 3 contracts and they're on net 60 terms. And if you're not familiar with that, that means after 60 days is when I'll cut you the check, right? But you have to do the work and you have to pay the guys that's a part of the security company all throughout those 60 days. The contract total him was like 100K, right? But he's like, man, I don't have the cash flow or the cash on hand to withstand those 60 days. Now, of course, he figured it out, but that was me in my Amazon business. We got paid bi-weekly. So, and I remember it to this day. Me and my wife, we were in Florida on Ocean Drive. And I lie to you not, bro. I looked at my phone and I had got a payout from Amazon. I can't fully remember what the numbers were, but what I do remember is the payout amount was less than what I owed on my Chase card. And I didn't have any other payouts coming. And that's when I knew it hit me. I didn't tell her, of course.
Yeah.
You know, like everything's cool. But in my mind, I'm like, okay, I'm gonna be rich, but not today, right? And it taught me that the game I was playing really wasn't for me at that time, right? So I faced 2 decisions, right? Because I publicly said, hey, I quit my job, my corporate job, I'm making 50K. You know, everybody always celebrates you when you say, hey, I just got a job opportunity for JP Morgan Chase.
Yep.
Hoorah! You working for Chase? That's right. My cousin went to college. He got a job at corporate. Yeah, my cousin worked for corporate, right? And I made that public, like, hey, I'm out of here. I'm chasing my dreams. So when I found out that the cash flow wasn't cash flowing, just like most people during the opportunity, you got 2 choices. You can truly show life, God, whatever you believe in, that you're going to stand on business, or you're going to acquiesce and you're going to fold. So for me, I wrestled, and we have a term in a thing in wrestling. It's called a bridge. So when you on your back, you bridge. And that's all I knew how to do, bro. I don't know how to fold. I always bridge. So my bridge was, instead of going back to JP Morgan Chase, tucking my tail, saying, oh, please forgive me, I'm sorry, I actually took the opportunity to partner with Lyft.
Okay.
Right? They gave me a car, right? And I heard Les Brown say that most people if you studied a subject for 5 years, right? And I think he said it was just like let's an hour a day. If you study a subject an hour a day, within the next 5 years, you'd be a subject matter expert, right? But then I also heard that most people are in their car for like 100-something hours a year, something crazy, right? And if they would just tune in to that subject, it would cut the learning curve down to like 3 years. So as a Lyft driver, I literally was in my car sometimes 12 hours in a day, bro. 12 hours in a day. So I said, okay, I have another choice. I can listen to rap music or I can tune in to what I want to turn into. And I started listening to digital marketing. I started listening to Dan Kennedy, and then I stumbled upon this guy named Russell Brunson. And that's when it changed for me. It changed because he said the thing that was so relatable because he was in the physical product business. And he was like, yeah, I almost went out of business. Because in the physical product business, you have margins. In the digital product business, your margins are so slim. Like 3%. Right? So in my mind, I'm like, okay, 97% of this is mine. The other 3% is the processor. By God, if I mess up 97%, there's something wrong with me.
This ain't for me.
It's not. This ain't for me.
This ain't for me.
This ain't for me, right? And it gets even better when you're in a service base, right? So a lot of people, if you're starting a business, especially online, I love starting off from a service-based perspective. Meaning, if I build you a funnel or a process, yes, it takes my time, right? 1,000% people like, hey, do something scalable, time. But in the beginning, sometimes that's all you have to trade is your time for money, right? I was doing it at the job. But the thing about it was I can write my check. Hey, this is $1,000. This is $2,000. So back on that time, I stumbled upon a guy alongside Russell Brunson named Nehemiah Davis.
Just goats after goats after goats, okay?
Right. I remember it like it was yesterday. And I always give everybody flowers. Like if somebody impacted my life, if I learned a marketing technique from them, I'm going to say it. Right. So I was listening to Neo, and he talked about, hey, I'm just learning this digital marketing stuff. I need a funnel. And I'm learning the funnel stuff from Russell Brunson. So one night I hit him in his DMs like, hey, bro, because he talks about giving your gift away. I'm like, hey, bro, I got this funnel stuff. I've been doing it. I'm not sure if it's going to work for your business, but I love to do it for free. I actually slide up to Philly for you to map out a process plan and let's put it into play. Right. So we hopped on the call and he was like, man, you the first person to ever come to me and not like ask for something, but instead you came and you wanted to give your gift away. Right. So mind you, I'm gonna be honest, like I was learning the processes. I had faith that it would work, but I had never truly like ran the play from end to end. Yeah. Because during this time, bro, this was pre-COVID, most of the people wasn't giving me a chance. Like I would bring donuts to businesses, do all types of stuff, and they'd be like, right, like who's this black kid showing up? We don't care about sales funnels. We don't care about funnels. We don't truly care about online stuff. And that's when, as I met Neo, I went to Philadelphia and he talked about his event space. He was like, hey, I'm trying to get more people in my event space that want to do baby showers. And I'm like, okay. So rule number one was like, hey, what's the hottest selling event, product, et cetera, that you have? And he's like, yeah, everybody keeps calling about baby showers, but I want more of them. So I took that, and when I created an ad online with Facebook saying, hey, you know, if you want to do a baby shower, we have this event space, right? And this was like a janky funnel, But during that process, we had people opt in, right? Name, email, phone number. Hey, I'm looking to, I'm inquiring about your event space. And then this is the thing that changed it. We created a small bonus. And I said, hey, Neo, what are some things that people always request? And it was like a one of those throne chairs, right? So I'm like, okay, hey, if you call today and you actually book today, we'll throw in the throne chair. And it got his phone ringing. And that's when I knew, bro, this stuff works.
And I'm in the right place.
Yeah. Right? I was in the right place. And this is another lesson that I learned, and I tell everybody this, because sometimes the market, the environment, the time has to catch up with your skill set. Right? So during that point in time, yes, Neo needed me, but the world, it just wasn't right. The environment wasn't right. I wasn't truly in demand at that point in time.
Yeah.
But by God, when COVID hit, they paid.
And it was ball
They
game.
paid. It was ball game, bro. It was ball game. All those nights when I felt like I wanted to give up, they paid. And they paid well.
And they paid.
And they're going to continue to pay.
Come on now. I love it. Talk a little bit about, so you did such a beautiful job just articulating, because, you know, to your point, so often, especially in the social media era, a lot of people see the finished product.
Correct.
I think it was important for you to articulate your journey up until this point, from college to corporate, from corporate to Amazon, and saying, all right, I'm going all in on this.
Yeah.
This that you go all in on ain't the money ain't money in, right? You made a very humble decision to say, like, all right, cool, I'm gonna do what I need to do.
I made an 18,000 ride decision.
There you go.
18,000 rides.
Which is
That's a lot. That's a lot of rides.
It's something, right? 18,000 rides. But you know, seeing the silver lining in that, you used that as an opportunity for you to learn. You then took the education to now start diving into the digital marketing. You kind of found your into the space through Neo, and then fast forward to 2020. You know, preparation meets opportunity.
Yeah.
And then from there, you hit the ground running, and it's just been ball game since. You mentioned Neo. Talk about the success of some of the other clients that you've worked with and the impact that you've been able to have with them as well.
Great question. So outside of Neo, bro, I work with, I don't normally like name drop, but I work with a nice amount of influencers, right? And one of the things that I quickly realized was, just because you have influence, right, doesn't mean that you have the money, right, alongside of it.
Come on now.
And a lot of people, you know, most rappers, most of these people, right, they have the crowd, they have the influence, but the money is not, the math not mathing, right? So these viral sensations, people that, you know, go viral, and you're like, man, how are they working at Walmart? No shade.
It's just it's real,
but it's just real, right? Like,
right.
How are they working at Walmart? How are they working at these jobs when you got 2 million views, 3 million views? You see this person in public, and they just like, oh my God. It's two parts, bro. Right? It's show business and the business of show business. Right? And I learned that from James Brown. Right? You got show business, you got entertainment, and you got the business part. Right? So what I quickly realized, like I said, is people have influence, but they don't understand the strategies to monetize their influence. Right? So we both were in a group together, and it was one guy in that group, he had influence, but he didn't understand how to monetize it. So I came to him, and normally this was the guy that opened my eyes to equity deals, right? So normally I would charge like $2 to $3K for a project. I was like, hey bro, I'll charge you $3K for this project, right? To build on the sales funnel, etc. Specifically webinar, right? Webinar, if you're not familiar with it, essentially the webinar process is you have a group of people, right, who's interested in a topic, subject, that you are either a subject matter expert in or you're bringing a subject matter expert in, and you show them the game, you reveal some things to them, and then at the end of that presentation, right, you make them an offer to either say, hey, I want to go to the next level with you, right, or I want to buy like some type of product at the end. That's normally how the process is ran, right? And we're gonna talk about
For sure.
why that works and the psychology of other processes and why they're emerging, right? So I normally would have charged him $3K, but he's like, hey, look, I don't know too much about this. I'm not about to shell out $3K, but I will give you 20% of everything that you make. So I said, okay, cool, right? Remember, I'm trading my time for money. At that point in time, I said, okay, cool. It normally takes me maybe 2 hours to create the process. So I said, okay, cool. I'll take a gamble. I'll take a risk. For those 2 hours, I probably would have been doing something. I think at that point in time, I've probably been doing like Lyft or something. So I'm like, you know what? Let's do it. So we mapped out the webinar, everything. That first webinar we did, we did like 10K. I'm saying like hindsight. At that point in time, it was, you know what I mean? I swear to you, I was like, bing, bing. He was like, bro, what is this? I'm like, it's 2K. That's what it is.
Right.
2K my way. That's what it is. So that was that night.
Yep.
Right. And then as the days progressed, people kept buying. I was sending out emails, kept buying. We didn't even implement text messages. Text message marketing was not as prevalent as it is today. Right. But email was still hot. Buying. So after that first webinar, we probably did like it was 13K that we did. Because I remember, and like I said, there's a guy, if you want to run webinars, right, check out the guy, Words Taylor. I learned from Words, and I hit Words, and I was like, yo, bro, we did 13K. He was like, good stuff. Good stuff. But there's more. So I was like, all right, cool. So when I found out that worked, we did it again. And that month we did about 30-ish some K. So mind you, he was an influencer. So I'm like, yo, bro, we can do better. We can do better. So we raised the ticket. I think at first it was like 2K. We raised it to 3,500. Right? We built up anticipation. We did the webinar again. And when we launched, we did 100,000 in a day. 100K in a day, bro. That's when I'm not lying to you, bro. That was my first. I got a 10K check before from wholesaling. But that was my first time I was like, this guy paid me. I get paid 20,000.
So much money you had to whisper it.
20,000. You know, I got paid 20,000.
Right.
When I went and did that same job for 3K.
Yep.
And now when that happened, I was like,
anybody else want to do an equity deal?
Correct.
Literally.
You know, I was like, okay, what was it that he had that I can spot for other people? Because it doesn't make sense, let me be honest, to do equity deals with everybody.
Facts.
Right? But there's key components that I look for, and I say, okay, can I stack the deck? Right? And this is crazy, but if anyone has ever read the book, Tim Ferriss book, The 4 Hour Work Week, he talks about, like, if you want to like go into battle, right, and you want to win, what type of opponent would you choose to face you, right? If we in karate or whatever,
right?
What type of opponent would you want to go against? And he was like, well, a 4-year-old kid,
yeah,
right? Because I know I'm gonna win,
right?
So that's how I look at this space. Like, okay, how can I work with people and stack the deck so I know that I'm gonna win?
Yep.
Right. It's nothing wrong like starting from scratch. 1,000%. I've started from scratch. It's cool. But it's better when I can identify somebody that just need one or two knobs, right? One or two levers pulled that they're not pulling, and I can just say, hey, let's do this. Changes the game, right? So when I made that 20K, it changed the game for me because I was like, yo, I made this 20K. I technically didn't have to do a lot of fulfillment on it on my end. He did all the fulfillment. Right. So that's when I realized this stuff was viable. Right. So from there, I met my guy, Dub Washington, right? Great guy. I met Dub, and then I started helping him out. I gave him some pointers. And this is another thing about relationships, about sewing into people, not with the thought to, hey, get something back. So when I first met Dub Washington, he wanted to do credit repair. And I had the hard conversation with him, the hard truth. I said, hey, bro, is this what you really want to do? He said, no. Because he was going to pay me, I think at that point in time, I might have been charging like $750 to $1,000 for a funnel. He was going to pay me that. So I was like, hey, based upon everything you got going on, this is not for you. I would definitely like to build it for you, but I can't ethically take your money. I can't, because I know in my heart of hearts, you're not going to be successful. So then I asked him, I said, hey, what is it of all the things we learned? What is it that you truly like to do, bro? And that's when he came to me and said, hey, bro, I really like this MS stuff. That's it. You can be the manufacturer spending king. And from there, conversation ended. And literally probably about 3 months, his name started buzzing. Dub Washington, Dub Washington, Dub Washington. You want to learn about MS? Go to Dub. Right? And because of that, he was like, hey, he circled back, I think I'm ready for this funnel. I said, you sure? He said, yeah, I'm going to drop an ebook. So I created that process for him. Now, I'm not going to share his numbers, but what I can say is Dubs, I think he started off in construction, forklift driver. From that time, it's probably, I think me and Dub been locked in probably like 4 or 5 years. But bro ain't been on the forklift since. You know what I'm saying?
So it's working.
So it's working, right? So when preparation meets opportunity, but you also need that person in your corner that's going to tell you the hard, cold truth. Because in this game, there's always a hidden agenda to the message. Let's be honest. That's the purpose of marketing, right? I need to convince you to look at things from my lens. Because if you can see things the way I see them, then you'll buy, right? But sometimes it's not just about the money. It's about leading somebody down a path that you know that's right for them, even if you got to say, hey, look.
A little nudge.
Yeah, leave them a little nudge, or you can't pay me right now. You're not my ideal client. And so many times today, people take the money even though they know that they can't serve that person, or that person is not in the position that they need to be in to benefit from the opportunity that they present them. That's the fastest way for people to say you a scam.
Yeah. One of the things you said, and that was powerful, but one of the things you said at the top that I thought was very good, you talked about how influence doesn't always equate to income. Correct. And you could have millions of followers, but you didn't directly say it, but one of the reoccurring things from you talking about Dub to Neo and beyond was strategy, right? Having
Correct.
that strategy behind that you compare with the influence to turn followers into dollars, to turn influence into income and beyond. And I wanted to start diving a bit into that and just unpacking your expertise. One of the things we talked about before, and you said it in your story, was a sales funnel. Correct. So we hear that word thrown around a lot, but for most people, they may not even know it, but we're all going through sales funnels every single day, whether we know it or not. For those who don't know, what is a sales funnel? How does it work? And how can we start incorporating it into our business?
Great thing. So if you're not in the space, I typically don't say sales funnel. What I'll say is a sales process,
Okay.
right? So a process, right, has a series of steps, 1, 2, 3, 4, to get to a desired result.
Yep.
Right. So when I say process, you have a point of reference. When I say sales funnel, you have 0 point of reference if you're new to the space. Point of reference is truly is like important, because when you have a reference, you can then like get your gears cranking and understand. Right. So when I say sales process, you create a process that leads a person where you want them to go, right, while also helping them along their journey. So there's a few processes. Typically, honestly, it's like 2 main processes that I typically lean on that I know work well, right? I kind of look at it like, if I'm the quarterback, I'll look at the arm and say, okay, cool, bro, look, it's 4th and long. All right, we not running this ball. We definitely got to throw the ball, right? So the 2 processes that I typically lean on, one is a webinar process or presentation process, right? And the next process I'm starting to lean on a little bit more is a digital product process, right? These 2 processes coupled together was how we did our first like 1.4, right? Through these 2 processes, because I personally think like that's all you truly need: a webinar process and a digital product process, and I'm explaining why. So the reason I think that you need a webinar process is going back to the guy Russell Brunson. He said, hey, if you do a webinar every single week, your business will look drastically different, right? And I know that to be true, because the group that we met through, the person did that process every single week.
Yeah.
To the point that his business, right, made such an impact, right, to the tune, I think it's the last tune was like 30 million, right? So even if I have 1/5 of the success that he had, I'm still up there.
Yeah.
Right? So the webinar process, and the reason that it works, now, some people might say, hey, the webinar process is dead. But I fully believe in pendulums. So I believe if at some point in time, it's going to come back around.
Facts.
It has to.
Yep.
Right? And the reason that this process works so well is because you're selling, right, or you're marketing from one to many. So you're not burnt out doing sales calls. You're changing the minds of the masses, as Myron would say, right? So once you start doing that process, for one, you build up your list, your distribution. That's really, really important for any entrepreneur, any business owner, right? The more people you're able to get a message in front of, the more valuable your business is worth, right? And then not only that, you're able to sell in the masses, right? So when you make an offer, it's not to one person, it's to 10, to 20, to 50, to 1,000. So your leverage on your time is a lot more, right? And it also gets you comfortable speaking, and it refines what you're selling, because if what you're selling is not a good product, believe me, it won't sell.
Yeah.
Right? Or your refund rate will show.
Yeah.
Right? So that process is really, really important. And then the digital product process is truly important, because it allows you to serve a person where they want to be served. Not everybody wants to allow you to serve them at a $5,000 or $10,000 level.
Yep.
Some people want to be served at the $7 level, right? So that process is truly important. And the next thing that I truly see in this, like, from marketing, especially online, is truly understanding the platforms, right? And, I give my flowers where it's due. I got to shout out my guy Runway, 1,000%, because he taught me how to look at Instagram, how to look at Facebook, how to look at TikTok, how to look at all these social media platforms and be able to serve the audience what they want to see and direct attention to me or my client, right? So here's an example of that. I call myself in my head, the carousel king, right? Because these carousels, which I've found on popular theme pages, aka one of them was called Wealth, right? So one guy was like, hey, in order to promote on this page, it's $3,000 per post, right? I've seen the top people were paying the $3,000. So that let me know, like, okay, whatever they doing to get attention, it's working.
Yeah.
Right? So I said, okay, I found the style of post that they were posting, and I knew that viral style post is what garners attention on the platform. So immediately I started to implement that into my clients' businesses, right? So on Instagram, we started running carousels. If you're not familiar with a carousel, it's literally where you swipe left, right? And essentially it gives you some game on each slide, right? And at the end, you have a call to action, right? So those posts were like going crazy, crazy to the point where I probably should have sold them for more, but I started selling 3 carousels for like $100. And people like, hey, Darrell, I need 3 more. I need 3 more. To the point that he's like, yo, look, here go $1,000, here go $2,000. Just
do what you got to do.
Do what you got to do, right? And the reason I was able to find that was because what Runway told me is like, yo, you need to figure out and see what's viral, what's attractive on these platforms. And most people try to put out content in the manner that they want to do it. And that's not how you do it on these platforms. You have to look at the platform. I personally go to theme pages, and the reason being is because they get paid to promote somebody else's stuff. So they're only going to put out the best style of posts, right? So I'm going to let them do the research for me, and then I'm going to model that, right? Modeling on these platforms is big because the first rule of business is you have to gather attention.
Yep.
You have to, right? So whether you got to pay for it or if you don't have the money, then you have to put sweat equity into it.
Right.
Right. So once you start garnering attention, you learn the 2 processes to monetize. And then from there, bro, like a lot of people overcomplicate it, but simplicity scales.
Fancy fails.
Y'all hear that? Simplicity scales, fancy fails.
So if I have everything, like you said, you don't call it a sales funnel. It's more so a sales process.
Correct.
And from your experience working with a lot of high-level entrepreneurs, the 2 biggest ones that you champion are a webinar sales process and a digital product, sales process.
Yeah.
Let me start first with the digital product sales process. How do we go about creating a digital product? Like, what does the process for the digital product process look like? How do we create a digital product that actually sells, and what does that framework look like?
Great question. So, prior to about a year ago, I had a different perspective on how you should create digital products, right? Because what most people think, just like I thought like, hey, look, I just need to create digital products. Or what we say willy-nilly, hey, look, I'm in the credit repair funding space heavy. So it's like, hey, here's a 24-hour removal hack. Here's this hack. But now when you come from a strategy side of things and you really want to be strategic and then be able to ascend your client, right? And the key word is client, not customer. Customer is transactional. Client is relational, right? If you have, if you really want to serve that person, if you can serve them at a $10,000 capacity, you need to work backwards. Here's what I mean. So I literally was just on a call and I said, hey, if I wanted to start an agency running Facebook ads, what type of client could I stack the deck with, right? Meaning like, okay, this is my ideal client. I need to create that first.
Yep.
And then what I need to do is I need to see what problems that ideal client has that I can create a product to solve. It doesn't have to be all of the problems. It could be one problem, right? So let's say for a funding company, I could say, hey, I told you I created carousels. hey, look, here's one of the here's one of the things that allowed us to fill our webinars, right? Or allowed us to fill our calendar with people who want funding. Would that be helpful? Yes. Okay, cool. I could say, here's 20 different carousels that I've created, tested, and sold. Would you like to buy that? It'll help fill your calendar. Most people say yes. Cool. It's $7, $17, $27, right? So I solved that one problem of filling their calendar using carousels. But there's multiple ways to fill a calendar. So once they spend that money with me, they test the product and it gets some success. They're going to say, okay, Darrell, well, what else you got? Right? And the next thing that I tell a lot of people is when you sell a digital product, if you do it strategically, and I know I'm solving a micro problem of a macro problem, immediately you should have a person book a call with you. Immediately. Right? Because now, don't get me wrong, there's some instances where you want to like take a person through a whole process, right? Meaning like, hey, you buy a $7 product, you buy $197. But if I'm starting an agency or if I'm looking to get big ticket clients, I immediately want to hop on a call with you to see and diagnose where you are with your business, right? Because the digital product is nothing but a filter, right? When you pay, that lets me know, okay, cool. This problem is worthy enough
for you to pull your credit card out.
Pull a credit card out. And this is the one thing that I think people really like don't truly understand, bro. But like, if you really think about this on a grand scheme of things, you're getting paid for your intellectual property. For your thoughts. Person don't even know you. Imagine your father's fault, right? Like this is literally a godsend, bro. Some people look at it, I don't want to sell somebody something for $7. After you create the product the first time, it's borderline like a free $7.
You just set it and forget it money.
You do your marketing, you set it and forget it. Right? I wouldn't say completely forget it because you still have to market the product, but you're not doing hard labor. You're not driving, right? You're not laying bricks, right? You're not flipping burgers, right? Some people just get paid $7 an hour for an hour of their time. So I think people just really don't understand the time that we're in and how many people from the past would trade places with us like this. Because it's so easy, bro.
Yeah.
It's so easy. So strategy wise, I'm sorry to get off, but I just wanted people to really like conceptualize and realize like we got it good. We have it good, bro. And strategically, you need to create products that solve micro problems of a macro problem of your ideal client. So when you get on that conversation, that phone call, and you have a conversation, it's just natural. Hey, look, this. Cool, I can help with that. Right? You put a price tag on the problem. If you want it solved, it's this much. Right? So I typically work backwards. I tell everybody to work backwards because it's strategic that way. Now, there is one of my clients, she's in the credit repair space. She came to me, she said, hey, Darrell, she's heavy, similar to you on YouTube. And she's like, hey, I don't want to provide credit repair anymore. Right? But I don't mind teaching it. I love teaching it. I just don't like doing the thing. Right? So I said, hey, have you ever heard of the catalog model? Right? And she has a community. She said, no, I'm not familiar with that. So essentially, just like your favorite artist, they have a catalog, right? They have different albums, different songs, right? And they all roll into royalties.
Yeah.
Right? So with her, I said, you know what? All these little micro problems that a person has with credit restoration, you create digital products, but all of your digital products should lead to your community. Right? All roads should lead to Rome. Right? Some days, some digital products are going to sell better than others. But at the end of the day, every single day you're growing your community. Right? So I think, different strategies call for different things. Not everybody wants a community, but if you work backwards from what you truly want, you'll map out your digital product process.
I want to talk about the other sales process you referenced, which was the webinar side, which is interesting because most people would hear the idea of a webinar, and I'm sure you hear this all the time, like, I don't feel comfortable getting on camera. I don't want to do this. I don't want to do that. I remember my first time. So fun fact, most people don't know, Darrell actually helped me run my first webinar. And I remember one of our best performing nights. I'm not going to say the number, but I just remember getting off there and I'm just like, this getting on the camera thing, this webinar thing. Yeah, it could work.
Yep.
You can make a lot of money with webinars, like a ridiculous amount of money. You obviously talked about, one of the clients you worked with before. In the same way we have a framework we could approach the digital products with, what's a simple yet effective process we could take? I don't know nothing about webinars, but I want to get on there and I want to give value back to my people that I can ultimately use to convert them into whatever it is I'm selling. What's a simple framework you could teach the audience around how they could start incorporating webinars if that's a route they decided to go?
Perfect. So believe it or not, you're doing webinars every single day. Like if you go live, that's a form of a webinar, right? So remember I said work backwards. So essentially, whatever that macro problem that you want to solve, your webinar should be designed around informing people how to solve those micro problems, right? So essentially, the way I look at the webinar framework, if somebody said, hey, which has happened, hey, Darrell, look, can you create me a quick presentation? You got an hour to do it. So initially, what I'm going to do is I'm going to locate 3 micro problems of the macro problem. Meaning, let's say, even if it comes down to creating a podcast, there's typically some core things that need to be done in order to create it effectively, right? So I'm gonna identify those core things. Now, truthfully, if I have a business opportunity at the end of it, the 3 things that we typically go for, right, is external, right? So if I have a business opportunity attached to the end of it, what is the external problem that my client face? What is the internal problem that my client face? Let me break it down. External. Hey, what's going on in the world that I may face to help start my podcast? Internal. How am I feeling? What are my disbeliefs that I may face that will stop me from starting my podcast? Right? Now, some people may feel like, hey, I don't know enough people. Hey, I don't communicate effectively. I have to bust that myth, right? And then someone would say, what is it about starting a podcast, right, that may be a problem in the person's mentality, right? What is it about the podcast space that could potentially have some like obstacles around it? So if I'm going into a presentation, I'm going to go in and I'm going to address those things, right? I'm going to talk about the old way that things used to be done, and then I'm going to talk about the new and current way, right? For each of those topics. And essentially, 3 to 5, but I typically stay at 3. And then from there, you go into presenting your opportunity, right? And before you make the offer, you typically ask before, right? But mentally, I'll say, okay, what is obstacle 1? What are some things that they don't believe about themselves that I can bust? What are some things that they, need to understand about the climate? And then what are some things that they need to understand about the opportunity? Why is podcasting the number 1 opportunity at this point in time? Right? So just for me thinking, hey, back in the day, you needed to, if you wanted to get the message out, if you wanted to get the word out, right? You need to hop on the news, but the thing about the news is it costs so much.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
So now all you need is a phone, and now you got opportunity, EYL, to spread the word around. Right? That's why this opportunity is better than anyone else. That's it. And once you have those things, you can literally create a presentation, a marketing message, right? For anything. For anything. I seen one guy literally create a webinar on how to do an effective handstand.
What?
And then
what?
Yeah. And
okay.
Then he has a course on how to do a handstand. Problem. I don't know how to do a handstand. I want to learn how to do it.
And he had a whole webinar on how to.
Webinar on it. Remember.
Okay. And it just go and to that point once again, like there's always going to be someone with a problem that you as a business owner have the information on how to solve. No matter how silly or how serious, no matter how big or how small, like they exist.
They exist.
We just got to go out there and find them, right?
That's it.
Now the finding process is actually what I want to get into because we talked a little bit about sales, but now we can talk marketing, right? In the space of marketing, I want to talk about a tool that I use. I know that you use that's very popular. Let's talk about ManyChat for a little bit.
ManyChat. That's so 4 years ago. Say not.
Is it? Well, that's what I want to talk about because I know AI is a very big part of a lot of different things that are going on right now in the marketing space. I know ManyChat has always been a very popular one, but I don't know. Maybe I'm behind. Right? You are the marketing expert here, so let me know when we talk about leveraging artificial intelligence and pairing it with our marketing efforts as a company to put butts in seats, whether it's for a webinar, get individuals in our sales process for our digital product. Yeah. Are there different tools that we should be looking at that we can use in our marketing process to turn leads into clients and ultimately into cash flow?
Good question. All right, so to be quite frank, in the beginning, I was one of those people. I was not an early adopter to like ChatGPT, AI. But I realized, I'm like, wait, this person that's not as skilled as me, they're running faster than me. Yeah. They're operating more efficient than me. Right? So that's when I quickly realized, I'm like, okay, Darrell, ego aside, you need to start incorporating AI into what you do. So ManyChat is an example. It's not, they're starting to use AI, but I would say that's more automation. And the difference between purely automation and AI is that artificial intelligence is the key. Automation has no intelligence. It does exactly what you tell it to do. So it's kind of like if a person does one, then you need to do this. If a person says two, then you need to do this, and this. Artificial intelligence says, hey, if a person says this, I'm going to ask them some more questions before I do this, and this. Right? And it can also go outside of the process that you create. Right? So there's a few different artificial intelligent like AI, processes and stuff that we use. I would say we use Go High Level. They have some, for anyone that's not familiar, Go High Level is essentially, right, an all-in-one platform that allows, I think it's great for solopreneurs or any entrepreneur to pretty much bring everything into their business and see it all. Text messages, websites, emails, everything. Yeah. Right? Helps you with your team. So this platform utilizes some AI and we use it to help with customer service because that's one of the biggest things when it comes down to a business that's growing, right? So many people focus on making the money. In the beginning, I was too. But then you start to realize that fulfillment and customer service is truly the name of the game. Because once you make the money, the easiest, I feel like you can lose the money, right? Faster than you can make it because once people start complaining, chargebacks.
You said, right? we know.
Go crazy.
Bro.
They're like, hey, you ain't answered my question, right? So we utilize AI heavy from a customer service perspective, as well as creating marketing messages, webinar presentations. I literally used it last night, right? Like I was like, okay, once you get the prompts right and tell it how to think, the guidelines on how to think, how you think, it's amazing what this stuff can create, bro.
Hmm.
And I'm looking forward to the future. Like I said, I was one of the guys that was like, I'm not using AI. I'm smart. I've been studying this game for 5 years.
Mhm.
Bro, the time that it would take for me to write 5 emails,
Come on.
AI then did, created an email sequence for the year.
Mhm.
And that's what I was like, okay, I need to use this as a tool, not completely rely on it,
Mhm.
right? But use it, have it even create some strategy. Say, okay, this is what I'm doing. How do you look at it? How would you go about it?
Mhm.
Right? And most people are not using it. So when it comes down to copy, meaning the words on a page, text, emails, I love Claude. Claude.ai. Right? Claude is I think they're from I think Google has them, owns it. But Claude is really, really good because ChatGPT is dope. But I feel like Claude is more, how can I say it? It feels like a person, right? Some of the words that ChatGPT will say, you like, it's not in alignment with my brand,
Mhm.
right? Where Claude is a little more personable, even though you can tell the prompts to say, hey, make it feel realistic, make it feel, but Claude just hits the nail on the head for me, right? So Claude, ChatGPT, and then, bro, all you really need is AI to start a business, right? Even to the point where they have AI agents, right? So an agent for customer service, an agent for appointment setting, right? So AI is definitely powerful. But we couple that alongside the strategies that I typically lean on, which is the webinar process and digital product process, right? We couple the AI alongside them, right? Even alongside ascending somebody to that next level, right? We use AI to check in, temperature check. Hey, where are you? You ready to go up? You need help? Where are you? Right? And the great thing about AI is that it has no feelings. Right? So one of the AI pieces that we're working on now is I call it the Clio. Call me now. Right? So you can literally call this AI at 1 a.m. It's going to answer. 100 people can call the AI at 1 a.m. It's going to serve all 100 people. Even if you have a call center, you would have to have 100 people on staff.
Yeah.
Right? So, like I said, bro, I now is the best time more than ever to lock in and start not just making money 1,000%. I was telling Josh, like, once you really learn how to make the money, and I heard so many guys say this before, and I'm like, nah, you just saying that because you got a Lambo. But once you learn how to make the money, now it's about fulfillment and finding out how you can help others be in your place.
Yeah.
Right. So, but yeah, so that's I think AI is definitely necessary, and there's so many. It's changing so fast, bro. Like,
Yeah.
I feel like ChatGPT came out 4 or 5 months ago, and now there's just so many. Well, it was longer, but it's moving so fast, right?
Yeah.
So if I was to say, hey, we're using this AI, literally tomorrow or next week, I can say, hey, that AI is obsolete. It's not in our processes anymore. We found something better. It's crazy, but it's the truth.
Yeah.
Right. So the world is moving fast. Everything is moving fast. Right. And I would say that we don't necessarily need to move fast. Right. Because I think we need to slow down to truly think about strategy. But the tools that we have need to move fast. Because if you're not moving fast enough, then your customer or your client is going to go to someone else that is. Right.
You said something key when you talked about you getting ingratiated with AI, which was that it was a very not hard for you to do, but you didn't really gravitate towards initially.
Correct.
Which I think is a great segue for this next one, because when we talk about marketing,
I
even
wasn't an
still,
early adopter.
even still now when we talk about marketing, one of the biggest things I get whenever I speak with a lot of newer and aspiring business owners, even ones who watch this podcast, when it comes to paid advertising and dealing with paid ads.
Good question. Yep. Good thing.
A lot of them are just like, they don't work. Paid ads don't work. It's a scam. I'm gonna keep my money tucked in my pocket. I'm gonna just, organic it to and figure it out on the organic side. And there's nothing, to a certain degree, of course, organic is important. But there are a lot of people that still, even in 2025, don't understand the importance of having a paid ad strategy for their business and how to put one in place that actually works. You work with individuals that are starting from ground zero when it comes to paid ads, and also individuals that are spending hundreds, if not thousands of dollars a day on ads. How can we as business owners, what's a framework we can put in place for a paid ad strategy that actually works and converts?
Good thing. So first off, this is where most people fail when it comes to paid ads. They don't work backwards, right? I truly believe everything is about working backwards from your desired result, and then you can orchestrate the process, right? So if you're a new aspiring entrepreneur, you need to understand the ecosystem, right? And those micro problems. So the first thing you need to do is to get authority in the eyes of your people that you want to serve. The quickest way to get authority is to address a common mistake and then show them why that common belief is a myth or the wrong way to do things, and then give them the right way to do it, right? So I personally think, depending on your budget, like let's say, for instance, you got $500, right? Of that $500, the first month or so, I'm taking about $400 of that $500, right? $400 of the $500, and I'm literally putting marketing messages, right? Remember, my definition of marketing is putting out a message that changes your perception of a topic, right? I need you to see things the way that I see things, because if you see it the way that I see it, then we in alignment, and you'll flow me, whether it's cash flow or attention flow. I need either or, because eventually, if you give me your attention, if you flow your attention enough, you're going to eventually flow me some cash, right? So you need to really, we call top of funnel in our space, meaning people that don't know me. The marketing message I need to be putting out is addressing the common mistakes or beliefs, right? And I need to be telling them why what they thought was the thing is not the thing, right? So here's an example. I watched one guy, it's a supplement brand called InnoSubs, right? So for someone that's not aware of that brand, essentially they help clean out all your gut and stuff like that. So they talk about the common myth of why people think, hey, my stomach hurts because I had some type of food, right? And they're like, hey, look, you might think your stomach is hurting because of this, but it's actually hurting because of this, and here are the symptoms, and here's why, right? So you're informing someone, you're educating them. From there, once a person knows you, now literally, right, I'm literally coming in. Remember, there's a whole bunch of micro problems of the macro. So I should be informing you on how to solve those micro problems, right? So it comes to the point where once a person sees you as an authority, they don't mind paying you, right? Whether it's paying you money or paying you attention-wise. Now, from there, the next thing most people fail to do is create offers. So of that 400, right, I'm creating value-based content because I'm new to the space. Yeah, I'm new. So I got to let people know that I know, right? So it's either, and value can come from multiple ways. Value can also come from, hey, this is what I did for a client. Hey, look, my client was here. This is what I did for him. This is the end result. That's value-based content. Hey, if your Facebook ads are messing up, it could be because you forgot to click this button, that button. That's value-based content, right? The $100 that I spend, right, is offers. It's going to be on the offer. So everybody that watch a certain percentage of my value-based content, I'm going to hit them with an offer. I'm not going to hit people that don't know me with an offer. I'm going to retarget and hit them with an offer. Hey, my name is Darrell Gray. You may have seen one of my pieces of content about XYZ. If you're looking for me to implement this for you, right, book a call or DM me. right? The fastest path to cash is conversation. If you want me to help you with this, shoot me a DM. Only to the people that have watched my content, right? Because now they know me.
Yeah.
Some people, especially when you don't have a big budget, they try to sell to people that don't know them, right? Now, personally, I don't know the full statistics of how many people are like ready to buy right now. Everybody throw around these numbers, 2 to 3% of people are ready to buy right now. Come on, man. Let's be honest. You don't truly know. You've relying on somebody else, right? But let's just say, just for the sake of this podcast, that 2 to 3% of the people are ready to buy, right? So every 100 people that you make an offer, 3 people are ready to buy, but those people don't even know you.
Yeah.
So now you got to break through the ice of saying, hey, this is who I am. This is what I can do for you. And if you have a high ticket product, 3K, 4K, 5K, really? Right? So I personally like leading with value, consistently creating your audience. Now there's 2 types of audiences. In Facebook, you have an invisible audience, right? Anytime somebody sees your content, Facebook buckets that person, right? So you're able to retarget them. And then you have a physical audience. Well, technically, I would say it's not truly physical, but it's materialized through emails, text messages, right? And that's when somebody leads. That's when you have like an opt-in, name, email, phone number, right? So those are 2 type of audiences. I want to consistently build up my audience every single day. And then, of course, if you, depending on your strategy, right? Depending completely is platform agnostic. Like if it's Instagram, then you can have people build up your invisible audience, or you can send people to your Instagram and build up your Instagram audience, right? But every single day, personally, you need to be making offers, right? To people that already know you, though. That's the thing. I personally think, like if you have a service base, if you have a higher ticket, and you want to make that to people that already know you. Now, if it's a $7 product, for sure, you can solve a problem for people that don't know you.
Yep.
Right. But the higher the ticket, the relationship has to be there. And typically a relationship is built through
content.
That's it.
Come on
now.
Darrell Gray. I know we got to start closing up, but we may have to bring you back for a part 2, brother, because we didn't even talk about all the different, there's so many different bells and whistles to the sales process and marketing game. I know we have to get you out of here.
So it's one more thing that
Talk to me.
It's one more thing that I want to address.
Let's do it.
There's 2 things that keep people stagnant, right? And we know anytime, if you're not growing, you're dying.
Yep.
Right? So the first thing that almost kept me stagnant before I watched the video by one of the marketers, his name is Dagan Smith. Most people probably won't ever know him, but he was impactful to me. I watched a video for a conference that he gave about 4 or 5 years ago. And he talks about self-promotion, right? And that's super big in this game, because when we go through grade school, we graduate from first grade, second grade, right? We graduate, juniors, freshmen, sophomore, junior. But in a game of business, you determine when it's time for you to graduate. That's so big, man. And it kept me back for so long, because I was always looking for external validation. Hey, look, I helped this person make 100,000, but that's not enough. I need to help this person make 1 million before I consider myself, before I can graduate. All you need to do is help one person. You determine when you want to graduate. You determine when it's time for you to put out that digital product. You determine when it's time for you to raise your prices from $497 to $997, from $997 to $49.97,
yeah,
and from $49.97 to $50K to work with me. You determine that. Nobody else, not your coach, right? You, self-promotion is the biggest thing that held me back. I swear to you, bro, because I was like, man, okay, they did $1 million in a month. I need to do that before I can charge more. No, right? You charge more and you make sure that you deliver past those expectations, right? And the next thing that I personally think that hold people back is comparison.
Mm-hmm.
Right? I love marketing. I love the game. I know it's subliminal messages, things, Lamborghinis,
Mm-hmm.
watches,
Chains, flashing money,
trips,
mm-hmm.
right? Some of those people put that there on purpose, right? And when you see those things and you don't have it, internally, you don't feel like you can charge.
Mm-hmm.
Internally, you don't feel like you can deliver. Internally, some people don't feel like they are enough,
Mm-hmm.
right? And I'm here to tell people today, like, I've made $2 million with someone,
Mm-hmm.
right? Chains, flash, cars, bottles.
Mm-hmm.
But again, it's for some people, just because they make that much money, don't mean that they can control, operate
Mm-hmm.
out of integrity, right? And one of the things that my pastor said was, you can be crushed under the weight of wealth.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm here to tell a lot of these people that just because you don't have those materialistic things don't mean that you're not good enough.
Mm-hmm.
Because essentially, I know people that don't have those things and are in a better position than people that do. And here's why. Anytime that you have all those things, now you have a baseline that you have to support. 10K, 20K, 30K, right? A lot of responsibility. One of my partners was like, yo, I need to make at least $20,000 a month or I'm poor.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, what? It limits your freedom sometimes,
Mm-hmm.
right? So they've literally built themselves a jail cell,
Mm-hmm.
right? So those are two of the biggest things: comparison, and self-promotion. And most coaches won't tell you this.
Yeah.
Right? But I will, right? Anybody that I've ever mentored, anybody that I've came across that partnered with us, or I always tell people, hey, at any point in time, you can promote yourself,
Mm-hmm.
right? So if you underneath a mentorship, you learn and you feel like, hey, in this mentorship, I've gotten everything I can get out of it. It's nothing wrong with starting your own mentorship at any point in time.
Mm-hmm.
So I give you permission, just like Dagan gave me permission, to promote yourself, right? Some people say, hey, if my price is $497, just raise your price. So you need to get internal permission before you can raise your price,
Mm-hmm.
right? So for those that's watching this podcast, I give you permission to promote yourself, whatever that is, right? Promote your business, promote your business to the next level. I give you permission to charge more, right? I give you permission to serve more. And I give you permission to be all that you can be, because just like me, you're going to make an impact on someone's life
Mm-hmm.
that you'll never, ever meet. And hopefully God, like, I'm going to let you have it because of this.
I love it. I love it. Let the people know where they can find you, brother.
Awesome. So for those that are listening, watching, tuning in, you can find me at Darrell Gray Marketing. That's my Instagram. And then from there, you'll probably see me doing some type of marketing stuff, traveling, letting people know. So you can find me at.
There you go. And ladies and gentlemen, as always, I appreciate each and every single one of you guys immensely. If you haven't already, what are you doing? Take a second, take a minute, take an hour out of your day right here, right now. Hit the like button, show this episode some love, tell a friend to come back and rewatch it again. But as always, my name is Marvin Francois. That's Darrell Gray. Y'all have been good. We've been great. This has been amazing. Thank you all, and God bless. Peace, family.